Okay, guys, are you all there? I think you guys can probably see me now. There was a glitch. That happens every once in a while. No, the host was not late, Weekender 38, but I appreciate I was sitting here trying to get a couple of things ironed out, but let's start over. Guys, welcome to another DCO Live. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened. It's been a while since something like that happened, but let's kind of start off with um, really one of the main stories here in South Carolina the last couple of days that's kind of been popping up is the weather. So I know you guys have been kind of tracking it just like I have, but it looks like we have some kind of a system that is brewing kind of down by Cuba. And, I don't even think it's a tropical depression yet, but it looks like it's probably going to intensify the next couple of days. And it looks like, it's probably going to move across either, northern Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But, right now it's looking like a rainmaker, maybe a little bit of wind. I know the weather channels that I've been watching, I follow Ed on channel 15, and he's not exactly sure what the intensity is going to be. So, just kind of keep your eye on it, guys. I would love to see a little bit of rain, no wind, just some rain, because we need it. I was actually on a property a couple of actually this afternoon, and one of the lakes was like 3 feet down. So we could use some nice rain. We've been in a little bit of a drought. Lawn's a little bit dry, but again, no wind. Can do without the wind. I think we're supposed to get some rain on Saturday, Sunday, and then I think the bulk of this system is supposed to hit again that Monday, Tuesday. But, you guys living here in South Carolina and along the coast, we know how to handle these systems that are coming through. So just be safe out there and, and keep your eye on the weather. So let's go ahead and let's do a little bit of housekeeping from last week. Bass Pro Shops finally put out some kind of an official statement. This came off of their Instagram account. And you can see right there that, it says that they did acquire Hobie and they're moving all of the production and the jobs back to the United States from Mexico. So all of the Hobie brands or the kayaks and boats will be built in Lebanon, Missouri. So, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm hoping that Bass Pro can really use their money, influence, and engineers to bring that brand back. Because, even though I have never been in a Hobie, I know some of you guys are Hobie guys. I am really hoping that they can fix all of the warranty issues, I keep hearing about, cracks in the hulls and some manufacturer defects and issues. So hopefully, their engineers and their money can fix all of this. So, I know that Chad Hoover came out with a statement, a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, something like that. And we had talked about it briefly, but it's not that I didn't believe what Chad was saying, but there was just nothing out there to support it. So that was my only thing with bringing up Chad. So, but there it is. Bass Pro Shops did put out something, and so Hobie, Bass Pro. Hopefully, it's going to be a good thing. So, Wired for Crappie, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you being on. Gunner, good to see you. So so let's jump into the meat of this. So on Tuesday, there was a open public hearing, and it was in Columbia, I believe is where it was held. And it was a joint effort with SCDNR and let me see if I can get it right, the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. They got together, and the Marine Fisheries Commission They are the one that does all of the stock assessments along with South Carolina. We do our own stock assessments too. Now, I want to pause for 1 second. I am not going to sit here and even begin to explain to you guys all of the science that they were spewing and that I was even following half of what they were spewing out. But I do have links in the description where you can watch the marine fisheries presentation. And I also put a link to David Fladd's conversation with Matt Perkinson. Matt is I think he's like the lead biologist for SCDNR here in our state. And he does a fantastic job breaking down the numbers and the graphs and all of this. So I highly, highly recommend you guys go watch this, educate yourself, because the last slide that I have has a QR code, and I've already tried it. It still works. You can scan that QR code and you can take a survey, because SCDNR wants your opinion on their conservation measurements that they're looking at taking. So, but we will get to that point. Okay. So on Tuesday, they had this hearing. They went through all of these numbers. Again, I'm going to do my best to try to educate, but again, guys, I am barely scratching the surface with some of this stuff. So this was one of the graphs. And as you can see, anytime you see a graph that starts going down like this, that's not good. Okay, so this is spawning thresholds. Now, again, Matt Perkinson in his conversation with David Fladd really explains this very, very well. But basically, you know, there's not a lot of spawning going on, and you can see how it is just dipping down. So basically, if we're harvesting fish out and there's not enough spawning going on, you can see how it is going to tilt this, you know, the balance of, do we have enough fish? Is it being overfished? So anytime you start seeing graphs like this, it is not a good thing. And then again, this is kind of the South Carolina graph. So a trammel net is what we use here in South Carolina to go out and measure how many fish they pull out of these nets. Again, Matt goes over this in detail, but they go out and they throw these nets all up and down the coast of South Carolina, thousands and thousands of times per year, and they start counting how many redfish they pull in per net. Well, now you can see this is just all averages, okay? And this is the year across the bottom. And then this is how many fish they pull out of that net. And again, anytime you see these downward arrows, that is not good. This is the threshold where they want to see it, which is basically about 1 fish per net, okay? Which is how I understand it. Again, I'm going to beat this dead horse all night. Go and listen to Matt to get educated. Okay. So this is the one that we all know how this graph is going to go. So this is recreational trips, and this line is going up. So this is starting, again, my graph that I'm looking at on my screen, the writing is really, really small, but I can't quite read that. That may be, I think, year 2000. I think you guys can probably see that a little bit better than I can. I'm looking at it at a, you know, a smaller screen here, but about in the year 2000, you know, you can see we just had a steady increase of more and more recreational fishing. So that coincides with the population boom that has been happening here in Myrtle Beach. You guys know Myrtle Beach is, if it is not number one places to move in the country, it's top 5, easy. We are getting so many people moving to Myrtle Beach that it's just inevitable that there's going to be more people fishing, and more people want to move to the beach and fish saltwater, fish freshwater. So, this number is going up. Now, the left side of this graph, this is recreational fishing trips. And you can see right here, it says millions of trips. So it starts right down here. So this number, again, I'm looking at it, the numbers are so small, I'm trying to look at it right here. So this number right here is 1 million trips, okay? And you can see 1 million is here. 2.5 million, now this is per year. Look how close this is. I mean, we're doing 2 million trips a year out in our coastal waters. So yeah, are we overfishing? Are we taking more fish out than what is being able to spawn and replenish? Well, take a look at, the graph that I just had up before. The numbers don't lie. They just don't. So, it is inevitable that there has to be some kind of a change for us to manage these fisheries properly. Now, they kept using the terms overfishing and overfished. And this is the definitions that they presented to us. So overfishing is fish are being harvested faster than they can reproduce. This can lead to a fish stock being deemed overfished. Okay. Now, overfished means a fish stock that has been depleted to a level where its ability to replenish itself is compromised. Basically, are there enough fish? Okay. So those are the two terms that they were throwing around quite a bit that night. Okay. So is overfishing happening, and is it overfished? And this is where this graph kept coming into, where yes, we are being overfished at this point. We cannot get enough fish to spawn to replenish their population. Okay. That's what these graphs are showing. It's just, it is what it is. It's inevitable. Okay. So here is what they're looking at. So the management measures, and it must be a measurable change is what they're talking about. So is it going to be in bag limit? So how many fish you can keep? The vessel limit, again, how many fish per boat can you keep? Or is it slot limit? Do we change the slot sizes? So they have a bunch of examples and things that they are looking at, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. But one thing that they did comment and say is, which is on the survey that I hope you guys take at the end of this, is they want to hear your opinions. So once you go and you vote on something, there are comment boxes, and they want to hear your comments. And they were very adamant about that what they have up there for management changes is not what they're going to go with. Okay. And I'll touch on that again here in a minute. Excuse me. So, I encourage everybody to take that survey at the end. The one thing that they did say is don't ask any questions in the comment box, because there's no way for them to get back to you to answer a question. Okay. But so here are the changes. This is, as one of them put it, this is where the rubber meets the road right here. So this is what they're kind of proposing. All right. So right now, our current limits are 2 fish. So if you go out, you can keep 2 redfish, right? The boat limit is 6, and the slot size is 15 to 23. So that is the current limits right now. So here are some examples that they are coming up with for management change on redfish. Bag limit of 1, vessel limit of 6, and then a slot limit of 18 to 25. Now that is a slot width of 7 inches. And you can see down here, 19 to 25, that's a slot width of 6 inches. What that means is our slot width right now currently is 8 inches. 15 to 23 is an 8-inch difference. That's a slot width. Okay. So if you shrink that slot width, then you're actually shrinking how many fish you can keep. It was interesting to hear one of the data points that the SCDNR gentleman threw out was, he said the majority of the fish, the redfish that are kept, are on the lower end of the slot size. 15, 16, 17 is, you know, what they're seeing is the majority that are being kept. So when those SCDNR survey guys are out on the landing, they were asking people, hey, did you keep a redfish? Yes. What was the size? 16 inches. So that's where they're coming up with the data on that. So again, watch the video with David Flad. It is so good. It's about an hour long, but it is so good. But these are the management measures that right now they're coming up with. Now, in the comments in the survey, if there's a management measure that you think would work, put it in the comments. These are the things that they are going to take, the recommendations they're going to take to our legislators in the state house to make the decision. In South Carolina, SCDNR only enforces the laws and regulations that are passed by our state regulators, the House and the Senate. So they will take all of this information, present it to them, and then they will vote on the changes or no changes. That was also one of the options, was status quo. Okay. So again, nothing is passed. These are all just recommendations. You guys can see that the redfish, the populations are going down, guys. And you know, right now it's not a good thing. I remember that when I first moved here to South Carolina, excuse me, the fish populations were incredible. I remember my dad and I going out to Pawleys and doing some trout fishing, and it was nothing for us to bring home, you know, 4 or 5 fish for a great meal for the family. And now when you're going out, you know, there's just a lot less fish. So, you know, something has to be done, and we need to take it upon ourselves as the stewards of the environment to make sure that these fisheries are sustained with the fish that we love to catch. And I love catching redfish. I mean, I love it. You guys know that. You know, you guys watch my videos. I hunt and love those fish. There's nothing better than hooking into a big redfish and you know, screaming off drag. And so, you know, I absolutely love it. Daniel said, change all 3 and lock it down for a few years. Yeah. So let me throw that up on the screen. So, you know, that's one of the things, you know, guys, if that's what you think, then again, these are all comments that are being taken into consideration. Now, I can tell you that there is going to be another open forum. It's in October at some point. You can go on the Atlantic State Fisheries Management website, and it gives the dates for the next open forum. And you can get on SCDNR's website, and you can look for the next open forum. And again, it's a public hearing. Anybody can get in it. I was on a Zoom call with about 40 other people. along with people who were there in person. I don't know how many people were there in person, but I do know David Flad was there. He actually got up and spoke, but there were a ton of people there. There were guides. There were just recreational guys, weekend warriors, and they were all given their opinions. And this is what they want. I cannot stress that enough, that this is what they want so that they can take it to the legislators. So all right, guys, I am going to come down here and throw up the QR code for you. I'm going to leave that up there for a few minutes. So, if you guys want to grab your phones, scan that, and take that survey, go ahead and do that. I don't know where else you get that. I looked on the SCDNR website. I couldn't find it. It may be buried in there somewhere. I don't know. But if you guys need that QR code and you don't get it when the live stream is done, shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I will shoot that over to you. And that way you guys can jump on there, take that survey, and make sure that your voices are heard. But, I think you guys know where I fall on the conservation of redfish, and really the conservation of all of these fish is, I think it's great. I think we need to do something. What it is, I don't know. I put in my 2 cents. I'm not going to tell you what my 2 cents were, but I did go back and re-look at it again, and I may readjust it as I kind of thought about it a little bit more. But it's not going to stop. The overfishing is not going to stop. So I've always told people that if we don't manage ourselves, then somebody's going to do it for us. And this is where we're at. Okay. Now I know up in North Carolina, our friends to the north, everybody knows how the flounder season and their flounder regulations have changed to the point where they basically locked them down, just like Daniel was saying, and they only have a 2-week flounder season where they can go out and fish flounder. But you can't deny the size of the flounder that they are pulling out of the waters. I follow several guides up there, and they are pulling out doormats right now because these things are just not being overfished, or overfishing is occurring. So you can't tell me that management strategies don't work. They do. So, they're also looking at this just kind of popped in my mind, but not only are they looking at these measurables, but also looking at measurables like rigging, making it only like you can only use a circle hook when you're fishing for redfish. That may be one of the regulations that they change. So it's not just bag limits, vessel limits, and slot sizes. There may be, regulation changes with terminal tackle. So that was also brought up. I'm kind of glad that kind of popped into my mind. I wanted to get that out there for you guys. So again, it's not just bag limits and creel limits and what we can keep, but it may be to the point where a lot of these fish, they get gut hooked with a J hook, and they swallow it and they can't get them out, and you kill a fish. Okay, it happens. All right. But a circle hook, most of the time, they are designed where once they chomp down on it, it turns sideways, gets lodged inside of the mouth, and usually they don't get gut hooked. And then also, if you use a shorter leader on top of that circle hook with a weight right on top, they won't take that hook deep because of that weight that's in the way. So yeah, so that is some reg changes. So Heath just said the flounder changes helped our populations. We've seen that. Yeah, Yep, without a doubt. I want to say, gosh, a couple of weeks ago when I had Captain Jason Burton on, he believes the exact same thing, that we're starting to see some of the positives that these fish that are migrating up and down the East Coast, North and South Carolina, that those North Carolina flounder, they are, coming down into South Carolina, and we're seeing, bigger, better fish. So yeah, it definitely works. So, um, Wired for crappie. Let me see if I can read all of this. It says SCDNR, I'm sure considers everything when making these decisions. I'm sure a lot of revenue comes out of these state licensees, such as myself. They have to be careful with the limits. Yeah, and that's something that they're looking at doing. They're taking into consideration everything. So, if we can only keep one fish, we can only keep one fish, because even you guys who are coming down from the northern states, we want you guys to enjoy our waters and our fisheries down here, and we want you guys to keep fish, but also we want you guys to keep fish years down the road, and your son and your grandchildren, when they vacation down here, we want them to come down here, catch a fish, throw it on the grill, and enjoy that fish. So, it's going to be hopefully managed correctly. And I know that South Carolina has one of the better DNR departments in the country. Texas, Louisiana, South Carolina, Florida. Not too sure about Georgia. I don't know. North Carolina, you hear, all kinds of things in North Carolina, but, they're doing their best to manage these. So, guys, that's kind of all I have got tonight. I really wanted to kind of pound on this, but I do have in the description the conversation David Flad and Matt Perkinson, the biologist for SCDNR. Go watch that, and also go watch the presentation that the Atlantic State Fisheries Commission put together that we watched on Tuesday. And again, if you guys need me to send you guys that QR code so you can take the survey, just shoot me a message and I will shoot that over to you as soon as I can. So, guys, again, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Check out my, where was I at? My radio show came on a little bit late on the Outdoor Radio Network. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but, if that ever happens, just stay right on there. I will end up popping up. I talked about some fishing trips and some fall fishing, and here in the next week or two, I'm going to have a guest on. You guys have seen the guest once before. It's going to be on my radio show. He's not going to be on DCO Live, but he's going to be on radio. I'm going to interview him. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but hopefully you guys enjoy that. But again, guys, if you need anything from me, shoot me a message, but I really appreciate each and every one of you. Stay safe out on the water if you can get out on the water this weekend, and keep your eyes on the sky. We've got some weather moving in. So, guys, again, I really do appreciate you, and I will see you all next week.